Hi Warren, thanks for the follow-up footage. So part two, just a quick look at how that drill is very quickly starting to feed its way into your swing. The rates at which we do things are very important. That's going to be a little bit easier for me to demonstrate and get across to you once I get you on the mat in the real world, so to speak. But for now, I just want to look at what's happening courtesy of the drill. As you do the drill more, you start to get more and more graceful, as I joked about, at doing it. That's fine. So I'm not really worried about how you're doing the drill at the minute. I think you're doing it fine. It's like anything else, the more you do something, the more comfortable you get demonstrating it. You start to pick out, as certain points at which you maybe think, what, it's just breaking down there a little bit, and you put a little bit more flow to it. So for now, I'm really happy with the way you're doing the drill. Just keep doing more and more of that. When it comes to the shot itself, I don't want you thinking too much about what's going on. Anatomically, you're doing three things during the backswing. You're extending, you're turning, and you're side bending. It's nigh on impossible to think about doing those three things, as all three things are happening incrementally, by the way, as well. So it's not like you're doing one, then the other, like you're doing when you're doing the drill. The main thing is that you're doing them incrementally. So trying to think about that consciously whilst hitting the ball is nigh on impossible. You can try and maybe emphasize one more than the other, but ultimately we want to condition you to do those three things from P1 to P4. And you can see here straight away, we'll look at the down the line footage. The main thing we're trying to achieve is put a bit of tilt in the turn and maintain our head in that box. You can see here at the start of the process, losing your inclination very quick, lead shoulder working up, head coming up at the box very, very early. So by the time you get to P3, you're well out the box, the chest is pulling away from the golf ball already, and that's making the swing look flatter than it would need to. And we also touched on, obviously, the way the knees impact on this. Due to the work you've been doing on the drill, by the time you get to P3 now, you can see that the head is much more stable. Notice the arms aren't getting pulled in quite as excessively, even though the inward movement of the hands is easier because of the way the knees are working. It doesn't have that same sort of pulled in left shoulder climbing look to it. Right elbow starting to work a little bit differently as well. So the big advantage here is that we're keeping our inclination for longer, and you can see the impact on the changing flex of the knees in regards to the overall tilt of the golf swing. Now, as I move you into P4 in both these swings, and remember this is early in the process, you can see that what starts to happen is the move on the right starts to just come up. That's your old move coming in. You'll see that when we look at the face-on view. So at the moment, you're getting the things in there from 1 to 3. And then from 3 to 4, you just want to emphasize that turn a little bit more, which is not what we want. So there's just still a little bit of the old stuff in there. But the more you do the drill, the more you change flexing the knees, the longer you'll be able to keep that move going, and less you'll require this last little bit of residual stuff that's in there. So much better. You can see the changing flex of the knees is dramatically improved. The arm swing doesn't look quite as flat, but that last little bit at the moment is just robbing you of a lot of good work. It's all the way up to about 3.2. You're doing a great job of keeping your head in the box. So I'm just going to switch over now to your face-on view and just let you have a little look at how that's comparing almost, 3-4 days into the process. Okay, so from P1 to P4 from face-on, the key is to keep the head in the circle for as long as possible. We did touch on what this foot did, this trail foot movement that made and the effect that that had on the knee, and we also talked about this sort of kink back appearance with the sort of pelvis at P1. This is starting to level out a little bit more. You can still push that pelvis forward a little bit. As you push the pelvis forward, don't let the upper centre drift forward. Keep that in line with or just slightly ahead of the centre of the stance. So just a little bit of a tweak there. But as we started off previously, we would get that foot turning in along with the knee. Whereas on this one now, that move is much tidier. So that little movement in with the foot That's sort of, again, a little bit of a historical thing. Maybe in the past when you've worked on trying to resist with the right side, toeing that right foot in, kinking that right knee in, just helps sort of give you that feel that you're going to maintain the flex in the trail leg. Whereas in actuality, what we want to do, we want to keep our head in that circle, is we want to lose the flex in the trail leg and increase the flex in the lead leg, which is what you're going to see here. So we've already looked down the line. We saw that the head moved up and across very, very early, and we looked at P3 in general today because we're struggling to keep the tilts in there from 3 to 4. Having said that, you do a better job on this particular swing. So this is a swing to swing thing as well at the minute. Sometimes you'll carry it out better than others because it's new to you. So in this instance, you can see the knees changing flex. If anything, you go the opposite way. Previously, you're going up and off, and now you're going sort of down and forward. You can see that left shoulder working down much more. I mean, look at the difference at P3 there. You know, is either one of those ideal? Not really. I'd prefer the guy on the right to the guy on the left every day of the week because there's a knock-on effect and it looks totally different from down the line as well. You see the difference in the knees and the way they're working. You've also got a situation now where the pelvis is working on a much more tilted angle. So we play golf, bent over, stood to the side of the golf ball. Therefore, we turn on a tilted angle. The knees play a massive role in that, as we've already discussed at length in your previous video. See, there's a much more sort of change in flex of the knees. This knee now is coming in and flexing towards the golf ball. This knee was coming across too fast. Lead shoulder trajectory now is much more down and around rather than across in a level manner, which is why you're staying much more stable, much more on top of the golf ball. So again, as you progress, turn kicks in, head's more stable. Notice the left arm's actually travelling further as well. And the reason it looks that way is because the lead shoulder's worked down more. So it's not necessarily that the left arm accumulator 4 is loading more. It's just you've added some tilt, which then allows the left arm to, in your case, to appear to have travelled further. Flatter swings look like shorter swings. More upright swings look like longer swings from face on. Having said that, a lot of that is an illusion created by the tilts in your case. Touched on your pelvis before, I do beg your pardon. More of a level hip turn, hips turning on a more tilted angle. So the remit at the start of your session was you wanted to add some tilt into your turn, and you've certainly got more tilt into that turn on this swing. In my opinion, I would say if we were looking at this particular swing down the line, we would not have seen that head lift from 3 to 4 like we saw in the initial footage of the down the line. So it's getting in there, it's getting in there in varying degrees from swing to swing. That's to be expected at such an early part of the process. Stick in there, keep at it, and good luck. If you've got any questions, as always, feel free.